What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for those who messaged me over the weekend. I had an absolutely lovely birthday. Tell a lie. I had an absolutely lovely Saturday evening celebrating my birthday. My birthday, not so much, given the Spurs score. We'll talk about that in a minute. Harry, I'm not even going to ask you how you're doing because you've already ranted and we've literally been in the call like 2 seconds. So Harry's back as per usual. We're going to talk about the Everton game. We're going to talk about the endless problems about Spurs, not just the ones that involve the manager, but the other ones as well. And then we're going to preview what is looking to be a very, very depressing Leicester game. Let's start with the weekend then. I'm going to start with a player who I turned around and said that even though he lacked the pace at the end of last season, that his finishing ability and his passing ability would make up for it. Given the fact that he's been absolutely exhausted being played constantly while we've had so many injuries, I'm so annoyed because we could have taken something out of that game had it not been for Son missing 2 sitters. Would we have deserved it? No. But when you're in the kind of fight we're in now, you need to take every point you can get. And I just think he's exhausted. The whole squad, apart from Spence and Kinski, the whole squad is absolutely exhausted. And while that is a byproduct of how we play, and while that is a byproduct of the lack of first-team players we signed in the summer.
Or mismanagement of the squad as well.
I think that is to a degree. I think we'd have Romero and Van der Ven back by now if we didn't try and rush them back. And that's where some blame does fall on the manager. But we all knew that this squad wasn't strong enough to play the way the manager wants. And we all knew, and the manager said that he wasn't going to change, and he told the owners that. He is begged now. I don't want to hear. I'm so sick of people can have their problems with Ange, and I have my issues with Ange a lot more than I did 2 weeks ago, and I will talk about them. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that he is begged now 5-6 press conferences in January for players for support for Solanke, who's now injured, for support at fullback, for support in defence, for support in midfield. He is begged for everything, and he's had one signing. Now, granted, had it not been for Kinski playing as well as he did in the first half, we could have been 6-0 down at Everton at half time. And even though, you could argue he could have done a little bit better in the midweek game he played, he's only just joined. He's been in the country less than 3 weeks. I thought he played really well against Everton. In fact, I'd argue him and Spence were the only 2 players that could hold their head up high. Mikey Moore after he came on. And he could still conceded 3. So that shows how bad the rest of the team was at the weekend. The fact that the goalie can be arguably your best player, been in the country less than a month, and still concede 3, My problem is the fact that you can say what you want about Ange and the style of play, whatever you like. I just don't give a shit. I'm sick of hearing that aimlessly. But he has now begged publicly for players and specific positions that he wants the players in. And the owners are just not, 2 seconds, and the owners are just not giving it to him. And I'm so sick, and people can blame the manager all they like. And you know what? He probably is going to get sacked in the next 6 weeks. Because he had a meeting, there was supposedly a meeting this morning, and they're now putting a bit more pressure on and saying that the next 6 results are massive and a key. That's the 2 cup games. That's the 2 last Europa League games. Leicester. United, I think it's the last couple of Premier League games as well. It works out, I think, about...
I think it's in there as well.
Yeah, I think it works out about 10 games in total over 10, 12 games in the next 6 weeks. The fact that he's asked for this help and support, and the owners clearly have no intent on giving it to him whatsoever. We've been linked with 2 players this summer. Sam Johnson, at this transfer window. Sam Johnson, who was a smokescreen for a goalkeeper, and Kolo Muani has gone to Juve. So it's not even like there's loads of rumours, and in the past we've said, there's been loads of players linked with Poch, and he's gone, I don't want him, and you can kind of tell the manager's being a bit picky. We're not even linked with anyone. This is what's concerning me the most. And you can sit there and talk about the style of play, and you can sit there and talk about Ange and how open we are defensively. You can talk about all of this shit. But ultimately, it doesn't matter who you have in that dugout. And how many managers now have we been through that have asked for help, that have asked for signings, that have asked for additions, and they're not giving it to him? And all we're hearing from Alistair Gold and co. first thing this morning is that they're working hard. And how hard are you working then? Because if you're working hard and not getting a good result, you're doing something wrong. If you're in the gym lifting weights, but your form's terrible and you're not making progression, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you're doing something wrong. If you're working hard to sign players and there's no players through the door, then you're not doing your job properly. And I wanted to say that before we talk about Ange, because I want the problems with Ange and the problems with his 2 things. I want the problem with Ange and the way he's playing to have some merit. And the only way they have some merit, if we acknowledge the fact that if he does get sacked, he's been failed by these owners again and again and again. Like Jose, like Conte, like all of them. And I'm just done with the fucking cancerous cunts that run our football club. Go.
You know how much I'm leaving out, yeah? Like, extremely leaving out. But they did give this guy 350 million, probably the most money they've given any manager, at least in my lifetime, supporting Tottenham. They gave him Johnson for 50 million, which was I don't even know what was going on there. Solanke for 65. Like, there's all these 40 million for Gray. Like, even Conte didn't get any near this sort of money, right? And I'm not, as I said, I'm leaving out here. I want the guy to fucking go right now, yeah? But the way they might see it is that they're giving him so much money, they're unsure on him, as you've just alluded to just now. So why should we had this conversation, was it 2 weeks ago, saying we'll see how much they back at
faith in him. They clearly don't have the faith in him.
I don't
because we'd have the players he wants through the door. So
because I believe personally, even if we did give him the players, he'll still fuck it up. So that's a bit different. But like for me, like he can beg and beg, but the problem is he also said in the summer all these signings are his. He probably bigged up the transfer window knowing him. The problem is he contradicts himself so much that if I was Leo, I'd be like, this guy's mad. Like, this guy's a lunatic. And it's like 1 week he's like, oh, don't blame the rest. Oh, let's blame the rest. Oh, I won't probably just like, oh, there's probably to do that to Werner because he's on loan and it's a safe option. And it's like, and apart from the tactics, because that's another story, but like what I'm saying is the problem is he said certain things already into the media and to us. And you either take what he says at face value, which is, I've always believed that you should take what someone says as like, especially because the way he says it, it's like you should believe what he's saying is true. Like that's what he believes. Because if you don't, people said, for example, he said about the title this season. I know it's something not to be saying this, but after West Ham last season, they asked him, and he goes, "Yeah, I want to be in the title race," something along those lines. I've spent the past 6 months, or however long the season's been, arguing with people about people saying you took his comments out of context, right? But hold on, when he says stuff you don't say it's out of context.
yeah.
So you can't have it both ways. So it's like, well, so what I'm saying is because he says so many things along this nature, like he's kind of fucked himself. Like
I think so, and I think things like the title race and stuff. I think he was overly optimistic given the start we had, and I think maybe he underestimated the amount he'd need. I think the thing that gets me about the whole transfer budget and what we spent.
But then you sat here and probably told me the window was a good window. I'm sure you said that to me.
No, I said Solanke was a good signing and I backed him 100%, and I did say the youngsters needed to be proven. I did say that I thought we would go and give the mature experience depth in January, which would actually help take us to that a good finish and give us a chance in the Cups, and we're clearly not doing it. So
I have no faith he's going to get anything at Anfield personally. Anyway, so
this is my point now. Is I think for me he'll be given until the end of the 2 cup games, and if we go out of them,
Liverpool, and then it'll be stacked.
Because this is the thing, right? So we can't. He's halfway to the Carabao Cup final. You and I both said, and I understand it's a different manager, but you and I both said that it wasn't fair that Jose Mourinho wasn't allowed to manage the cup final, right? In my opinion, you've got to give him that second leg because he's done half the job already. If he gets us over the line and gets us into that final, he deserves the right to manage that final. Regardless of the league form.
Like we need a new manager so we actually get through to the final.
No, but this is what I'm saying. But he's done half the job.
If he does the tactics he did against Everton, we're fucked, mate.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, we've sat there and complained about him not adapting and not changing so much. But why is it the game he chooses to try a back three? Like, he's trying it without the players.
Where do you think Gray was playing that game? Because I have no idea at this point. Like,
he was playing. He played right centre back in the first half, and he played in midfield in the second half.
But even when, because I've been watching a lot of shows about it, and I was seeing this myself on the TV. I couldn't believe what I was watching with Gray, right? And this is not against him personally. He probably wasn't given any instructions. He probably told him go out there and play how you want, mate. Because he got bloody fucking inverts as a centre half, and I'm like, what is this nonsense? Like, what kind of tactics?
Yeah, it's just...
And I'm like. it's clearly he wasn't given good instructions or any instructions almost.
Did you see
And he
my
was
tweet about let's hope Ange can start inverting the results rather than
yeah,
inverting the fullbacks?
but like he wasn't even a fullback. He was the top. Like what I'm trying to say is, I don't even know what he was trying to do against Everton. Like I still don't understand.
No, there wasn't. Like in other games, you can see what his game plan is, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. You can see what his game plan is, and
Even
it's
though
to overload the
like
midfield,
open.
overload the midfield, so you got constant passing ranges, job done. Right. My point against Everton is there was no game plan. There was no, well, there probably was in his mind, but there was no visible game plan. There was no visible, and that's what I looked at that performance, and in my head, I've gone, if we don't make Europa League automatics, or we don't go out or we go out the domestic cups, he's gone, and it's a real shame because I really thought that he had, and I still stand by that with the right volume of players and the right quality of players, the way because it's been proven that if you have the best bunch of players within your respective competition,
Let's tell you something. Højbjerg and Rodri are good mates, yeah? So Højbjerg obviously has gone out on loan to Marseille. I killed getting back right now because we need number 6. But even though he's not the best, but he's friends with Rodri, and he told Rodri, and bear in mind Rodri got the Ballon d'Or and is one of the best DM scorers in the world, yeah? He told Rodri, you wouldn't survive in this system. So the whole notion, given the best players, yes, he's only, let's be honest with his CV, yeah, he's won trophies in fucking shit leagues, yeah? Like,
yeah, but Harry, no offense, you can't managers start out like that, winning trophies in shit leagues.
If he was someone like 30 something, or like, like Areola's age, like 40s, 30s, and he say he was starting out in his managerial career like Gerrard when and won the SPL with Rangers, yeah? He came to the Premier League at like 40 years, 30, whatever he was, 40 years old.
And he was wank. What's your point?
Yeah, but this guy's 56. He's not going to change.
But what you got to remember though, right, is the reason why
we wasted our time.
Hold on.
Because all our fans wanted was, I'm going to use the quotation mark, attacking football. Yeah.
Right. The reason why I disagree with the comment about Ange.
Man. Like, why do we bring this guy in?
Okay, I'll answer that question in a second. But the reason why I disagree with your comment about his age, and I think that's a bit, I don't want to say disrespectful, but ever so slightly, is if you look at ex-players who've been given certain jobs, and if you even look at ex-players who were crap as players, who started out managing clubs, if you look at the journey Andrew's had to go through, he's had to go through the fact that he is an Aussie who gets considered, you don't know anything about football. He managed his national team. He won the first trophy with his national team in donkeys. Like, it's not like... Right, hold on, let me put it this way. From the corner of the world in which he's from Australia, from the Asian, whatever, he is regarded as the top of the top for that period. He spent his younger years in that part of the world because that's where he's from, and so you can't completely disregard that. What I will say is Tottenham was too big of a job to go to after Celtic. I would like to have seen him at maybe a Palace, or I'd like to have seen him at maybe, and just, you know what I mean, and be one of those managers who comes up against the big boys like we did against City, gives them a good run in or manages to beat them, and then a top club sits there and looks and go, right, you're the next step that I want. Like Areola has been, like Eddie Howe, I'd argue, has been.
Howe's done a good job. I mean? He's adapted. That's the difference.
But this is what I mean. Whereas I think for me, Ange hasn't gone to a club where he's got the time, where he feels he has the time to adapt. He's gone to a club and he's almost put, and you're right, his own comments have caused this problem, but he's put too much pressure on himself to win and win now. And the whole point of him coming in wasn't to win and win now. It was to spend 5 years building a project. It's almost like the club went, Ange, we're happy to give you a 4 or 5 year period, couple of transfer windows, get to where you want to. He's come out and put an unrealistic expectation on himself and the group of players he has for the style of play he wants. So the board have gone, all right then, show us it. And he's gone, shit, should have said that, should have stuck to the original plan, not jumped the gun a little bit. And I think
him on the board, I'm confused.
No, I think he's jumped the gun. So I think he's come into the owners and gone, look, it's going to take me 4 or 5 years. Okay, they've gone, no problem. It's fine. It is what it is. We're not going to win anything anytime soon anyway. We haven't been winning anything, so take your time. We'll give you a couple of transfer windows. But by this point, we expect sort of Europa League at best. Okay, cool, whatever. And I think him having feeling almost overtly positive with the initial support, he's kind of gone, yeah, mate, I've got the tools I need. And then as time's gone on, he's realised that maybe players aren't necessarily quite, Johnson's example, aren't quite capable of what he wants them to be. But because he's already said, you've given me what I need, when he's going back to them, they're going, so did you lie? Or what? And he can't really say, well, I misjudged how good Johnson would be.
Really? Isn't he?
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. But this is where it comes back.
No sympathy for him because he doesn't adjust when he has injuries. He doesn't adjust to other teams. He doesn't adjust to anything. Like it's just those two last ones I disagree with. Mourinho was hounded out of this football club, yeah, and he got given absolute crap, yeah. But to be fair to Jose, he tried flipping everything. He tried a back three, he tried a back five.
But this is my point, though. This is where I'd argue that
he played bloody Rodon, who he didn't even bloody want, in centre back with Dyer.
But this is where I'd argue.
Who bang on about Spencer in the summer, yeah? Doesn't even name him in the Europa League squad. Then
I still can't get over that.
He kills Porro and Udogie, literally kills them. And then he finally decides, I'm going to play Spence now.
And Spencer's arguably been our best player since that point.
Don't get me wrong, Reguilon yet he's probably not the answer yet. But at least if you named him in the squads, right? I don't say
gives you an option.
Give him 30 minutes when we're free. Yeah. Like give him some. You can even bring on Reguilon and push Udogie further up, or push one of the fullbacks further up to close out a game. Look at what flipping Moyes did when against us. We're 3-0 up.
Yeah, I don't. This is where I want. This is where I would say.
And he's told our defensive midfielders like an absolute moron. He doesn't
right. So I'm gonna decide to disagree on defensive midfielders.
Bergvall up against three massive people, and I tweeted this before the game. I was like, "This is the biggest problem I could see right before we even started the game." But hold on, Mr. Postecoglou, you sold Skip, you sold Højbjerg, you tell us you don't play with number 6. Everyone keeps saying he doesn't want a number 6. He doesn't want to play with number 6. We play this. Every midfielder has to do everything, rather than playing fixed roles with fixed strengths, where every Premier League champion team has always had a player like that, like Kante with Leicester, Makelele at Chelsea, Vieira at Arsenal. I hate to fucking reference that. Roy Keane at United. They've all had a midfield enforcer. Yeah, these young players are getting eaten alive, and they were going to get eaten alive. I even said that before the game because he sold the players like that. He didn't replace them. He doesn't want to play a player like that. We keep banging on about saying number 6. The number 6 he wants is not really a number 6. He just wants another player that.
Okay, I've got 2 points. Let me count your points before I forget.
Needs to go.
Let me count your points.
Let me finish. Name me one other team in European football who doesn't play with number 6.
I couldn't tell you because I don't watch every team in European football. Let me.
It doesn't exist.
Right. Let me count your points. Otherwise, I'm just going to forget. There's no point. Right. The point in terms of the stuff with Spence and that. You've won me on that. You won me on that week's ago. I don't know why you keep bringing it up every single week. Sorry, I admitted you were right. It doesn't matter because people are just listening to the same podcast every single week. I admitted that he should have held Spence. I personally think the last from probably 2 weeks before Christmas, Spence has been our best and most consistent player.
I wasn't having to go with you, by the way. It's just I was frustrated.
No, I know, but this is what I'm saying. When you keep repeating the same point and I can't get a word in and I forget the counterpoint and there's no point in having the discussion, it's just you ranting and me listening. I agree with the point on Spence, and while I still don't think Reguilon is any good, I agree. I understand the premise, and like I've said already, that in certain games, like when we were falling up against City, you could bring him on, even if it's a disaster, we can see 2, we still win the game. My counterpoint to a midfield player, I personally think, and I'm sure with a level head you would agree, that at centre-back, Gray has far exceeded the expectations we had for him. And I think, given the fact that he's playing alongside Dragusin, given the fact that he played along with Forster behind him for a long time, Gray has done really, really well at centre-back. He's also shown that he has physical ability, not as much as I would say to be a centre-back. But I think if he actually played in a consistent midfield with a solid... If he played as the more defensive of a 3 in midfield with Romero and Van der Ven behind him, I really do think that Gray is capable of doing that and would exceed in that should he be allowed consistent time with consistent players around him. The problem we have is, 1, he's not played in midfield, and 2, when he's played at centre-back, he's played alongside Dragusin. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I'm just to take him to Madrid. Just go. I don't care. So that's,
Madrid.
I mean, so I think while I don't disagree that most systems would have a six like that, given the way Gray has played, it suggests to me that he was going to be the player who filled in that holding midfield role as Basuma moved further forward and then rotated with Bentancur. And because of injuries, we've not been able to do that. Now, one, that's piss poor planning on Ange's part because given the style of play, you should prepare for injuries. And number two, that's piss poor planning on the club's part because they went and signed a centre-back. I don't give a shit what you say. There's no way the data for Dragusin suggested he fit the system. Not a fucking chance. He doesn't at all. And this is my point as well. And this is why I say, unfortunately, Ange is going to be the downfall, not just for himself, but for the contributions of others. Lange, who was at Villa for ages, bought a load of crap, didn't work out. We've got scouting networks. We've got medical staff. We've got... all of these people are either inexperienced or don't fit what we need. I can't understand how someone's got into a recruitment process and they've signed a director of football, or hired a director of football, whose track record is terrible. I can't wait till Fabio Paracitti's ban is done. I really can't. And I really hope...
You're working behind the scenes, just so you know.
Yeah, I know that. I really, really hope that he becomes... we fuck off Lange and bring him back in. Because... his signings have been effective, his signings have been key, and he can adapt to different managers as well. You look at players he signed for Conte versus players he signed for Nuno. Like, he brought players in based on what that manager needed, and you could understand why. Well, you could see how the players fit those ways.
Atalanta, a number 6, and I don't know what happened.
I still don't think he's a number 6. I still think he's more of a box to box. But anyway, I'm not mentioning that again.
For me, with my opinions on Gray, right? Yeah, he puts in the effort. Yeah, he's shown that he can do a job, let's say. I'm going to label it do a job. But I still have massive question marks whether he can play as a number 6 in the Premier League. Because number one, we haven't seen it. Not even in a cup game against like a lower level side, let's say. Yeah. Number 2, he's not the kind of number 6 I envisage. Like, he's not... I don't think he's strong enough personally still. I think he lost... like when he was inverting on against Everton on... I can't be able to talk about the centre-back inverting, but this is where we've got to. He was getting eaten alive as well by their midfield. Like, we need, Onana went to Villa.
Yeah.
That's the kind of number 6 we want. And
I think Gray definitely has a potential to be, but...
if it was me, I'd play him, if you want to so pigeonhole him in, like, and into midfield, you're so intent on playing him, you need to play him alongside someone like... not Sarr and Bergvall. It's like the worst midfield trio you can think of.
But this is the thing, we haven't got anybody else fit. That's the problem.
You put in someone like these with, like, I'm trying to think of what's strong with midfield because we don't really have a number 6.
If it was me, I'd have him as the 6. I'd have Bentancur just in front because he's got that experience to help him, but he's got the creative ability as well. And then Kulusevski. That's how I would potentially do it.
But again, if it was me, right, and I remember, obviously other managers do this, they'll play like an experienced, say you're playing as a winger, for example, I don't know, as an example. On the other side, they put an experienced winger with you because at least, they can help throughout the game, right? But we don't play with a true number 6. We don't.
Yeah.
And this is the issue. We had a number 6, even like someone like Højbjerg, I hate to bring up his name, but it's like, at least he's an actual number 6. And the thing is, I think we suffered this season for loaning out Højbjerg because we don't have a player to bring on just to close out games, for example. And don't get me wrong, Højbjerg is not the best player in the world. But this is part of the issue. Like, we don't close out games.
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to lie, I think it's an accumulation of everything. And while Ange has blame, and I'm not going to say he doesn't like I did sort of 2 months ago, I think he does have blame. I think the people around him are not the right people around him to maximise what he wants. And I think that has played a massive part in what players he needs and the amount of players he needs and how quickly he needs them. And I think it's all just accumulated into one.
Have you seen that tweet when it has his coaching staff list? Let me just find it.
It's crap. It's crap.
Yeah, but he says that he doesn't want to take his own coaching staff with him because he wants to challenge or something. I was reading.
Yeah, but I don't know how much I believe that and how much that's Levy saying you can have people, but not quite.
Who was one of his boys? Let's be honest. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I think there is an accumulation of factors that have got us to this point. And if he does get the sack, I still do stand by my point. While he's not helped himself, I still think he's been failed. I think we could agree that you said that in the summer, hand on heart, with the summer transfer window. So, just because maybe he's added to problems, you still can't say that those problems wouldn't have been prevented or minimised had he have had a bigger summer transfer window. I think they are expecting him to go, and I think they're going to try and get January's games out of the way and then go, oh shit, we gave him another chance and then we sacked him, and oh no, the transfer window's over, we can't sign anyone. I'm not even going to talk about manager prospects because I just spoke about it with Ben the other day and they're fucking awful. Like I don't want to talk about what options are available. But I will say is those people that want Ryan Mason in long term need to really, really get a grip.
Long term.
Because we played, I don't ask, because we played, it's just stuff I've seen, we played a final and we left the most clutch player in finals ever, arguably. We left him
Sorry, we're back in a sec.
On our bench.
Sorry, which player are we talking about?
I'm talking about Gareth Bale.
Oh, Bale. Oh, right, okay.
You know what I mean? He left him on the bench in the final. So, for me, I don't want Mason anywhere near that dugout. And I'm praying to God that if we do sack Ange, it's not until after Sunday, just purely because I don't want Ryan Mason to be my little brother's first game. Like, that's just no.
Imagine Mason in the touchline. I think we should bring in Redknapp or Dyche or Big Sam or something like that for 6 months. Because
I'm not going to talk about until he's gone. I'm not going to talk about
into a relegation. We have no fight. For me, I don't trust Ange because he has no fight.
The reason why I say it won't be Dyche is because he lost his fight at Everton. He lost belief in it, and I just don't see it happening. I'm not saying
specifically him, but we need someone like that with Premier League experience, an old head. I would have probably said Moyes, but he's gone back to Everton. But like someone like that to come in 6 months, galvanise the players. Get back to basics. I know it's crazy. It's like get back to basics. Stop playing this crazy, nutty, ineffective football that Ange is trying to. I don't even know what we're trying to do anymore after that game. I was like, what is this? That was the first time Calvert-Lewin was the first time in 17 games he scored a goal.
I saw all the stuff before and all your tweets before.
In 45 minutes, that since 1994, I heard today that Everton were 3-0 up at Goodison Park.
Yeah.
Like
and it's also the first time that Everton have beat us at Goodison Park since the last time Moyes was there as well. So I would say if it was me making a managerial decision, I would go for whatever manager is available who has the best Europa League record and say to them, you've got 6 months, and if you win it, you'll get a year extension, and if you don't, then you'll be terminated.
Like that.
Say?
Like Terzic?
No, well, originally I was thinking about this. I was talking to Ben about this yesterday. We were thinking about the Europa League manager with the best record. It's Unai Emery, and obviously he's not there.
He's not going to Villa. He's going to leave Villa.
I would have said Glazner, but obviously he's at Palace, and I can't see him leaving at this stage.
I'll take that guy in a heartbeat.
I don't know a specific name, but I would go for a manager who's won the Europa League and won it relatively comfortably. Bring them in for 6 months. Say, look, you win it, you stay. You don't, you're gone, and then reassess in the summer. I don't think there's any point in trying to plan long term. At this point in time...
No. But
do you know what I mean?
You're assuming we're going to stay up, aren't you? I take it, right?
I'm saying that the other teams are so astronomically bad that if we bring in another manager who plays a basic, simple way, we will get enough results just to stay up. And that's where I think if we put the emphasis back on the Europa League again, I think there's a chance. Because realistically, United are shit anyway. There's one or two other teams that I worry about. Other than that,
I don't think on paper,
I don't think we'll win it, but what I'm saying to you is at this stage in time, if we've got out all the other cups, got no hope of Europe in the league, you might as well try and bring in a manager who's an expert in that competition, who's got a track record of winning it, as best as there is available.
With Ramos, and he won the Carling Cup, I remember. But
exactly, and that's what makes me think if we did that in the Europa League, we could carry us through to the end of the year. Even if we make it to the semi-final at this stage, it might be enough to keep one or two of the players that might be swinging in the balance.
But I think Romero's gone regardless.
I think Romero's gone. I think Kulusevski will stay for another year.
Yeah, he won't go now.
I think Son will step down as a squad player next year. And people saying Van der Ven is leaving already. You can't sit there and request to leave based on team's bad performance. If you're a key player in a key position and been injured most of the season, that's not, and I know it's not his fault, but what I'm saying to you, it'd be like Harry Kane, for example, trying to leave Spurs in a season where he spent the whole time injured and Spurs did mediocre and he's trying to leave.
If I was Van der Ven, I'd suit Ange for killing my hamstrings. But
anyway, that's all that tweet is.
But for me, it's just the reason I say this is that if we bring in, say, European-esque manager now, this is just my opinion, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I could be right, I could be wrong. I have no idea. Because why don't even Sackhange, knowing the club, will might keep him to the end of the season and just pass that by a point, knowing us. But like, my worry is that if he doesn't have Premier League experience, or he's not like a high level manager, like we're not going to get an Ancelotti. We're not going
I'm
to
just
get
looking now, actually, at the
like
list, to be
we're
fair.
not. This Terzic is one that you said no, and I'm kind of with you on that because he's only really had experience with Dortmund, right? He's not had experience everywhere else, and that's what kind of worries me with him in that respect.
Do you know what?
And
I've got an answer for you, actually. I want to see what you
like,
say
we
to
need
this in a
someone for me
second.
with Premier League experience. Like,
And I've got an answer. Give me 2 seconds. I just want to have a look before I make the comment.
oh,
I would bring in one of two options. I would bring in Gasparini. He's the non-Premier League option. Or, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I'd bring in Rafa Benitez. Because he's got experience stabilising Premier League clubs. He's got experience winning in Europe. He is a leader by all accounts,
yeah,
which is what you've argued we lacked. Yes, he's been out of the game a couple of years, but what he did with that Newcastle side when he brought them up and then kept them up, and he would have stayed with more investment. I think Rafa Benitez would have us play in a stable, calm way. He's got experience, and it's a 6-month deal. If he's not successful, he goes at the end of the year. He's going to keep us up because he kept Newcastle up, or he almost kept Newcastle up. And that Newcastle squad that he almost kept up had a lot less quality than what we've got now, a lot less. So he'll keep us up, gives us a chance at Europe, and then we assess it in 6
is
months.
he out of job?
Let me find out.
Because it's a good suggestion, by the way. I just don't know if he's out of
Thanks.
job yet. I take Gasparini, but I don't think we should bring him in now. I don't know. I don't think he would leave Atalanta though. Aren't they in a title race?
Yeah, just about.
Because Napoli beat them, didn't they? I think Conte's Napoli beat them.
Yes, I believe so. Just trying to find Rafa Benitez.
Apparently, Solanke could be back to face Liverpool on February the 6th.
He's at Celta Vigo. Oh no, 224. So it looks like he was sat by Celta Vigo.
This is kind of bad news. I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but someone told me, I don't know how true this is because I thought he was going to Saudi, but apparently they sounded out Allegri and they had 2 rounds of talks with them.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. And I don't think he's going to Saudi because it looks like the guy they had there, they're keeping.
Really? Oh,
I don't want Allegri. Every time I hear Allegri's name, I think of that little Arsenal fan.
Apparently, so in December, Paratici was in a box with him and his representatives.
Yeah.
And that was the first round of talks. And then on the weekend, they had the second round. By the way, I can't say the source or anything. It's just people who tell me stuff. It's more than one person who told me this. But I don't know how true it is. Like, I'm just passing information.
Every time I hear his name, I just think of that Arsenal fan who goes, we have met with Maximo Allegri, and he's excited to join Arsenal. And that absolute prick who had no idea what he was talking about.
I'm quite scared if they sack off Tessa, they're going to get Areola.
No, I think they'll go. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think they'll try Frangelotti because he's announced that he's leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season.
Is he leaving Real Madrid?
Yeah, he announced it earlier.
Come to Spurs where you won't need any trophies, Ancelotti. Come.
It's funny, we were talking about it in the car. We went to Peterborough to visit my grandparents, and we were talking about it in the car. Ben showed me that he was announced he's leaving. And I said, well, he's won everything else. He's won top 5 leagues. He's won everything apart from internationals. Yeah. Come to Spurs and finish a lot. Michael went, that's the hardest job of them all. Yeah.
I don't think Levy could handle something like Ancelotti anyway.
No, I don't think he could. I think right now it sounds really bad, and it's weird because people will probably sound like problems with Rafa Benitez, and I get that.
I would take him. I think it's a good choice actually, but I just worry about his out. But then I said that Ranieri came to Tottenham. Very much, actually, to be fair, I was taxed and not like awful, but like he came to Tottenham and he had been out of the game for ages with Roma, yeah, and before he signed for Roma, he'd been out of the game for ages, and he still went and scored us, and he probably got stabilised Roma, I imagine, at this point.
The one thing I would say with with Rafa Benitez is it's going to be boring.
I don't mind. I just wanted to stay
But
up.
I think it will channel. The thing that I love about Rafa Benitez, and Jamie Carragher said this a lot when talking about the Champions League final in Istanbul, is the fact that he is a leader of men. And when you're in a relegation battle and you need, I can't believe I'm saying this, and you need someone to rally behind, you need someone who's inspiring, who's been there, who's done it, who's got that grit and determination. And Rafa did an interview on Sky maybe last year between Everton and Celta Vigo, and he said that he wanted to get back into management. He was waiting for the right opportunity.
How old is he now?
Oh God!
I'm just curious. Sorry, I know he's different
it's
to him.
fine.
I know he's got experience everywhere, but he was at Inter Milan, I remember, for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When we beat them back in like 2010.
He doesn't seem to actually show up on the app. I've got 2 seconds. Let me Google it.
But can I ask you a question? If Ange stays, so they don't sack him, do you think he could keep us up, even just about?
Quickly to answer your question, Rafa Benitez is 64. He'll be 65 in April.
Well, I don't want this to happen. I'm just asking you a question.
If absolutely everybody comes back and stays fit from February onwards, yes. Otherwise, no.
So if Van der Ven comes back, just for example,
if we keep getting, if our major players are inconsistently available between now and the end of the season, no.
We're gonna get relegated if Ange stays, basically. I'm just asking you.
I think if we stay up, it will be by the skin of our teeth. If we keep him the entire season and we keep playing the way we play, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I've backed him. And you're my witness to this. I backed him. I backed him. I do still see a vision in the way he plays, but you have to be one of the best teams in your league with one of the best squads in your league to do it. You have to. Otherwise,
I just think even if he had the better players like the Netos that we were linked with or Gallagher's, I still think we would compete.
No, I'm talking about like if he went to Inter Milan right now, they've got arguably the best squad in the league. Could he play that way with the right depth? I believe so. But if you are not the absolute pinnacle of the pinnacle in your league, it's not going to happen. Or could he go to? Okay, let me ask you this. In my opinion, could he go to Ajax and play the way he plays and be successful? Absolutely, because they are a cut above the rest. Can he do it?
Celtic.
Yeah, can he do it where they're on par with somebody or they're 10% above somebody? I don't think so.
Then the football is not effective. Then is it? If you can only work in leagues where the players are all the best. Look at what Jose did with that Inter Milan side in 2010. He didn't have.
Okay, hold on. Rewind for a second. Had he gone from Celtic to the Dutch leagues with Ajax, for example, played there for 3 years, absolutely dominated, won everything. I echoed what he did at Celtic. And then he went to Portugal and took over Benfica and did the same. And then he works his way to the next higher league. Then that, I think, is sustainable because you build a reputation. So the next job in the next league, you're pretty much the best team when you take it over. He went from the best team in Scotland to a 9th to 3rd place team in the Premier League with an inconsistent squad, needing a massive rebuild, not having the right recruitment situation in place. It's never going to work. If he'd have gone from Celtic to Ajax or from Celtic to Benfica or from Celtic to, then I truly believe in those kind of leagues he could be. So he has proven it, regardless of whether you agree with what's on his CV or not, or whether you rate what's on his CV or not. His CV shows that in that kind of league, he can do it.
So that's basically saying in a league where he takes a team who are a million miles better than every other team in the league and he wins the league.
Well, within Europe, yes. I'd say in Asia or in
I don't know about
Australia.
Asia.
In Asia or in Australia when he's done it, because there's not really one team that dominates per se. It fluctuates. The reason why he was so successful in Japan was because he took a mid sort of level team, got the recruitment absolutely spot on, and they bridged that gap so quickly that all of a sudden they became the best team, and then it was a case of consistent results. The same way with Australia when he won the Asian Cup, whatever it was. He didn't have the best players, but at that point he was so young in his career, he hadn't fully developed his philosophy yet. Well, he had to a degree, but he had enough leadership there. Exactly. He had enough leadership, because I remember seeing the interview where he was kind of arguing about his style of play.
He was mine.
He was arguing about his style of play. He did, but he backed it up by winning Australia a trophy that they hadn't won in God knows how long. So I think he can do it, but the way for him to do it, and this comes back to my point of it would have been possible at Spurs had the recruitment have been absolutely nailed on. The fact that the recruitment has been such a slow process, if he had another 5 equivalents of Dom Solanke and the impact Dom Solanke's had this summer, would we be in this situation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't think we'd be in a relegation battle.
No, I think we'd be in and around the top 4 race and we'd still be in the Cups. Now, at this point, 3 years into a rebuild, based on how volatile our squad was before, that's not a bad position to be in. The fact of the matter is...
But we were in and around the top 4 last season.
No, but this is my point, though. But this is we didn't...
We had the first 10 games, which was a new manager bounce. Then after that, I sent you the screenshot about 50 games.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So my issue is I don't think this style works. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't work at all, right? Before anyone states for it. It works in certain games. Like if you're playing Southampton, who, as you alluded to, because we had a way better quality-wise level, we could destroy them because we overload them in midfield and blah, blah. But when you play a team... Like even a Villa, mate. Okay, we beat Villa, but
But we did against City. This is my frustration, Harry.
He didn't adapt against City though, because he came out after Liverpool and said, "No, I didn't adapt. We just played well conservatively because those are the 3 midfielders I had." So to me, it shows in that City game, he didn't adapt. It must have just been by consequence of the fact that City has so much of the ball that we pushed so far. And this is why I don't understand why he dropped Maddison after City. Like Maddison was actually apparently numbers-wise, he's one of the highest goals and assists, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And he's barely played, and he clearly has a personal thing. I think personally with Madge, I think it's a personal thing at this point. But what I'm saying is, I think in certain games, say you play most of the bottom 10, you could probably play Ange ball and it would work 90% of the time, because obviously there'll be some games you won't. But when we start talking about the Bournemouths, the Brightons, even like the Newcastles, that these teams who, because we're not City,
I think that
you will not beat them, because difference is those managers, apart from those managers, I would argue are more capable than Ange anyway. They will either adjust to the way we play, because we play the same way every time, or you have to. If we should have really adjusted to the way they play, so that at least you would even out, because the quality in the team, I'd argue, between us and Newcastle is
it's not. It's marginal. It's marginal, really.
It's marginal.
The one thing I would disagree with you ever so slightly, and the reason being is the Bournemouth Newcastle result of the weekend is an example of the fact that Bournemouth went to Newcastle, a team that's horrible to play against at home, a team that's in great form, hadn't lost in 10 or 11, and played their way and absolutely annihilated them. You can play that way against those teams, but the mistakes have to be absolutely minimal and the confidence has to be absolutely sky high, because then every pass is effective, every move is effective, every goal chance is scored, And then at that point, you're 3 or 4-0 up, and there's nothing teams can
Do
do
you
about
think
it.
that Bournemouth, because bear in mind Newcastle were going into that game, was 9 wins on the trot as well?
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you think it was like a byproduct of the fact that the Bournemouth team is just so high on confidence?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me think that if that Newcastle team had the same, if that Newcastle team played that fixture after they beat Arsenal at the Emirates in the Carabao
Oh, they
Cup,
would have probably
I think
won.
Newcastle win that game.
Yeah.
And this is where it comes down to the fact that confidence is, especially in this style of play, confidence is an absolute pinnacle byproduct, pinnacle contributor to the success. We've seen it when the confidence is high and flying, we can annihilate. When we've got our best 11 and we are high on confidence, we can annihilate anyone. We've shown that. But the fact of the matter is, we have a squad full of players that the minute you poke them, their head just drops to the floor. And that is partly down to Ange, because some of those players he signed, but that is largely down to the board, largely down to the club, and largely down to our recent history of the mentality we've set.
But then he did
That's
make Son's captain, didn't he? Or do you think that was a PR move? Because I said that when he got
I think the club pushed that decision on him
and he just
more
said yeah.
than and he said yes. I think right now, if you looked at it and you offered, let's say Son tore his ACL, Madison was out, Romero was out at the end of the season, who would be captain? It'd be Kulusevski. Why? Because his confidence is absolute sky high. He's vocal and he's a leader, not just by example, but verbally. And I think
he's
when you have
is he captain of Sweden? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. When you have a player who's low on confidence as your captain, and people turn around and look at that player for belief, and his head is down, I think that's causing 30% of our problems. And that's not me having to go at Son. And people sitting there making racist remarks or calling him a wanker at the end of the Everton game need to stop. Because he could have played for any club in the world after the first couple of years at Spurs. He's been an absolute legend for this football club.
He signed a 4-year deal when we had Nuno.
When we had Nuno, he signed a 4-year deal when Kane's head had turned.
Yeah.
He committed to us. I'm not saying that means we have to excuse his performances. I'm not saying that means he has to start week in, week out. But there's a certain minimal level of respect he's earned. And I'm sorry, but the fans
calling him all these names and stuff. I just don't.
The fans at the weekend shouting "You wanker, get out of my club!" It's absolutely disrespectful.
I don't think that was aimed at Son personally. I think it was aimed at Ange. But anyway,
no, because Ange had already gone. I've seen if you look at the clip, Ange had already turned his back. Son was there trying to get the fans to calm down, and all you hear is this guy go, "You wanker, get out of my club!" And regardless, you can't treat a club legend like that. You just can't. And that is what he is.
Is he really a club legend though?
Absolutely. Yeah, Harry, you can't play that many games for a club and score that many goals and not be a club legend. And no offence, he's achieved at Tottenham no different than what Kane's achieved at Tottenham, realistically.
I don't know. I don't know if he's a club, maybe a modern club legend, but like even Kane, you could argue was not really a club legend, even though no one would say.
I think
most of the legends that my dad talked about, right? For example, they're all players that won things at the club.
Yeah, but what you got to think is you can still have eras. And okay, would you consider Jan Vertonghen a club legend?
No.
I think he would fall into that bracket personally.
I know he's one of your favourite players, but like I love Alderweireld as much as I love Alderweireld.
All right, we've sat there. All right, then we've sat there and spoken about Aaron Lennon. All right, we've sat there and spoken about Aaron Lennon.
Yeah, he's not a club legend though.
I think he's as close to it as you can get.
The modern day one I would name was probably Ledley King.
But then you've also mentioned that Sandro is a legend, and
not in that respect though. I don't mean in like a club legend. It's not as a person. If I don't know, you know that urban word when they say he's yeah. Not in that way, just because he was like a nice guy.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Saunders falls into that. I think Kane falls into that. I think the shit being a legend it is a large.
I know Kane and Son probably club legends, right? To most people, and don't get me wrong, I'd love to say Kane is 100% the club legend, but when my dad talks about club legends, he talks about players that like won things at the club.
But what you got to remember is we're part of a different generation. Your dad's like 80 odd, like we're part of a different generation. In terms of watching the cool group of Spurs.
It's a good debate actually. I don't know, to be honest.
We'll have to do a separate debate on that.
King 100%, but he at least won 2 trophies. He's the 2 Carabao Cups, League Cups I've seen at Spurs. Ledley King was part of those teams.
Yeah.
Like Ginola, considered a club legend, but he did win a cup. The Spurs, Ginola. Do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
this comes to my point, though. If you're saying just winning a cup is the only contributing factor, or is a large contributing factor, if you put Kane or Son in any other Spurs team that has won stuff, would they have contributed towards it? Absolutely. It's
what
just
you mean at the ready one stuff? You mean? Well,
like if you put Son on the wing in the team that won the Carabao Cup in 2008, or you put Kane up front
in the same
alongside
team.
Berbatov or alongside
King
Keane
probably
instead of one or the other, would they have contributed just as much in their peak? Probably, if not more.
Yeah,
So
probably. Yeah,
you
but
can't punish them for being a club legend because they were part of an era where the owners made consistently poor decisions. Son's won a Golden Boot, Kane's won multiple. They broke the goal scoring record set by two of the greatest players to play in the Premier League, Drogba and Lampard. Like it's not like they've scored a couple of goals, played a couple of games, whatever. Like they've hit numbers like we haven't seen for a Spurs side in a long time. And I think
like I know because we spent the trophies thing. I don't think it's like the only factor. By the way, like I
yeah.
think, but I mean,
For me they've done
I don't
enough
think Berbatov
individually
was a
to
club
fall
legend
into
from
that
the way he
category.
left the club. Basically, like for example,
See, that's what would make
yeah.
me think that I would personally, and I said this to you at the time when
I
Kane
think
left. I
Didier
think,
Zakora is a club legend, even though he played in that final.
yeah, I think Son for me
For
would go
example,
just above Kane, given the fact that when the chips were down and he could have just fucked off somewhere else, he stayed and helped carry the club after Kane left until Conte burnt his legs out. But
I don't think it was Conte's fault, really. But
well, yeah. But moving on to the game against Leicester then, because otherwise we'll be talking for ages.
do you want to play what your brother's recording?
Yeah, well, I was going to surprise you, so thanks for ruining it.
Yeah.
I asked my 10-year-old little brother, guys, who you know is his first game on Sunday, as long as he behaves himself, because he's been a bit of a pain in the arse at the minute. I asked him what his score prediction was for the weekend. And Harry, you're going to love this, right? Let me put this on full volume. Right, listen to this.
Hi everyone, I'm David Little.
Hold on. It's on 1 times speed. Let me turn it down. Right, listen to this.
Hi everyone, I'm David Little Brother Theo. And I'm really looking forward to the game. Leicester versus Tottenham. My prediction is that it will be 3-2 Leicester.
He predicted us to lose in his first game.
What?
Listen, and I got another voice as well. Let me play this one
And
first.
broken, man. And broken.
Come on, you Spurs!
That's so cute, bless him.
Yeah.
He predicted 3-2 to Leicester. And do you know what? You can't even say that's far-fetched for a 10-year-old who I wouldn't even say supports the club particularly. He's going to his first game of the weekend. I don't even think that's far-fetched, to be fair, bless him. It's so cute. I messaged his mum. I was like, look, do you think he'd be all right if he did this? She was like, yeah, let me ask him. And he was bouncing up and down in the car, bless him.
I'm surprised. I think it's like 3-1 Tottenham or something.
Well, originally he said 30-0, and I said to him that the biggest Premier League game was 9-0. And then he thought about it. He said, I'll get back to you. And then he sent me a voice message this morning before he went to school. And he should have been eating breakfast rather than voice messaging me, but never mind. And he said 3-2 Leicester. So
I'm shocked. I thought we was going to predict us to win. I was getting the
Yeah.
positivity at least from someone before going.
At least I've taught him well. I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. Just Leicester are absolutely abysmal, absolutely abysmal, and I think the fact that Richarlison scored at the weekend was massive. Not having Solanke, I want to see a front three of more Richarlison, Kulusevski. I want to see. I'll tell you my logic in a second. I want to see Maddison and Sarr and
Who we got left?
Gray, and then Davies, Dragusin, Spence, Porro, Kimsky. And the reason why I'm saying that, Maddison's supposed to be a leader. He's supposed to be part of the leadership group. There were a lot of concerns about his performance and his mentality in Leicester's relegation fight. And he has an opportunity to prove he can be that leader. I want to see Gray as a 6. I really, really want to see him in the 6. And I think this is the perfect kind of game. A game when we're going to dominate the ball. He's proven, and we've said this over the last couple of weeks, he's proven he has a longer passing range than what probably you or I gave him credit for when he first signed. Some of the passes he played, the outside of the boot pass between two defenders a couple of weeks ago, when he picked the ball up, moved into midfield, played an outside of the boot diagonal out to the wing. It was a perfect ball.
Is that the Werner pass? Is that Werner, I think?
No. He passed it, but I can't remember who he passed it out to. But Moore showed that his crossing ability, that cross for Richarlison, he has to play. And Kulusevski proved, and I'm going to use Forest away last year as an example, Kulusevski's proved that if he has a little bit of space on the right, he can get the ball into Richarlison. Leicester's centre-backs are not physical at all. Leicester's centre-backs are not physical at all. That Wout Fares player, the Belgium guy, absolutely awful. And I think if they play a 4, which I think they will, you watch them play 5 at the back now. I think if they play a 4, which I think they will, I think Richarlison will have a field day. I also think the energy of Sarr will allow Maddison space to go beyond the striker, like he did against City. And I want to see Gray in the 6, number 2. I also thought Ben Davies was actually okay against Everton, to be fair, all things considered, his first game back. I also think that Spence and Moore on the left can have a really good sort of partnership there. And I think Spence has so much energy, and he's probably the only player, apart from Moore, recently that it takes on his man. His crossing on his weak foot is getting a lot better, a lot more consistent, a lot quicker decision-making in the final third. That's what I would go with, and I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
Power right back, right?
Yeah, because we haven't got another choice. So I'd go that, and I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. What do you think? I think that's a balanced and accurate.
The issue is that he didn't play regular on the Spence against Everton. Shall I tell you why? Because those are the 2 players that cannot play in midweek. So he could have given Porro a rest, and he won't give Porro a rest now. And the problem is, when I look at your lineup, I'd rather give Porro a rest and play regular on the left and Spence on the right.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
Because Porro is literally dead on his feet, man. Like, the guy needs.
The only thing I worry about is Vardy in behind Reguilon, because Reguilon's defensive security is not what it was.
Whatever team we play, I think Leicester are going to be able to 2-1 with a Vardy goal, because I think it's just written.
Brilliant. So we've got 2-1 Leicester, 2-1 Spurs, and 3-2 Leicester. Thanks, Theo, mate. I love you.
Because I just we're like in freefall, honestly. Like, when I watched us play on the week, I was like, I thought we were bad. Yeah, I did predict Everton to beat us 1-0. I thought we were bad, but I didn't think we were that bad. I couldn't believe I was watching. My mother told us, months and months ago. My dad was actually the first Ange out person that I knew, really. And
apart from you, of course.
No, he was before me. You think I'm mad? He was before me. So he turned around one game to me and goes, this was like sometime last season, I think, maybe in January even. January this year, I can't remember. He goes to me, Harry, this man is not a manager for us. By February, I was Ange out because of the Wolves game, where Wolves beat us, was it 2-1 or 3-2 at home? Gary O'Neill comes out and says how to beat us. Ange doesn't change. And that's a pretty simple crux of it. And it was evident because we bottled 4th. And obviously this form has carried on to this season, and we're where we are right now, which I didn't think, don't get me wrong, I thought things would get bad, but not this bad.
I didn't think it is bad, yeah.
like this is insane. Like, but then I look at it and I deep it. I was messaging one of my brother's mates, and he's like crazy, like against Angela, whatever. But we only started talking like a few months ago about this, like quite seriously, and we were looking around the Premier League and thinking, so which manager is Ange better than? And at the time we said maybe Lopetegui, because he was still at West Ham at the time. Maybe, what's Southampton manager's name before? Russell Martin. We gave it, he's better than Russell Martin. And who was the other manager? Not McKenna, obviously. Who is the bottom 3 again? So we've got Ipswich, Leicester,
Southampton,
Steve Cooper was there at the time. Steve Cooper. So we named managers. By this point, those managers have been sacked. So now I'm looking around the league and thinking, who is Ange really better than? Because apart from maybe the Southampton manager, I have no idea who he is. Is he really better than any other manager in the league? Probably not. So should I really be surprised about where we are? Probably not.
Yeah, like I said before, I think if
That's
you
how
get
I
the
feel. I know
recruitment,
a lot of people sit there and rate
I
Ange because
think,
he won stuff in other leagues, but for me, when I deep it, he's tactically inept. His missed game management is so evident to see. Yes, I'm leave Yao as much as anyone else. He did not give them the players like good enough to make this work. Right? He
but
did
he
not.
could
But
have
at
come
the
out
same
and said
time, we
that,
should
and
be
he just
seeing where the
accepted it.
fuck we are sitting, like in the league. I just don't.
I think managers,
If we had
whatever
us, if we
style
had
of
our
play you play,
six, top eight, yeah, say in and around the top six. So we had what eight from
yeah,
like 2 points off six, for example. Yeah, I wouldn't be sitting there saying he's totally incapable of anything. I wouldn't be still be a fan of him, but I wouldn't be saying he's one of the worst managers in the league or ever in Premier League history. But like for me, when I look at the evidence and I deep it, he probably is one of the worst managers because I keep saying he's one of the worst
there's
managers in
two
my
more.
lifetime. In my life, he's
There's two
worse
more
than
points I
bloody.
want to make. There's
It's
two more
just.
points I want to make before we wrap up.
Yeah,
Number
sorry, I've
one,
just gone on a rant
no,
again.
no, it's fine. Number one is the fact that obviously Ruben Amorim was a manager that we both looked at and wanted at Spurs in the
I
2
still
years
want it, to
ago,
be honest.
and he's gone to United. He's getting poor results. He's come out and said he's not changing, and the board either give him what he want or it's going to fail, and then that's on them. Why Ange gets a different reception when he says the exact same things, I don't know.
No,
I
actually,
think
Aaron
what
did say
people
one thing different though. I hope you saw my story on Instagram. He came out and said this is the worst United team he's seen in like ever.
all right, yeah, I'll give him that. Whereas,
Whereas Andrew
okay.
come out and say we're going to challenge for the title.
My other point and my last final
Like,
point is the fact
yeah,
that clubs and managers are do or die based on the success and the effectiveness of their recruitment. Spurs have had some really, really, really effective recruitment in the last couple of windows.
have we really though?
Hold on. But for Ange's style of play, the volume of players has not been anywhere near enough. And
I think we
I
signed
don't
like
think
16 great.
certain players would look half as leggy or half as tired or whatever if there was adequate rotation replacements. And we might be saying next week saying Ange's gone and whatever. But ultimately, we are in the position we are in now, not necessarily because of Ange or because of the 11 players or the 23 players in the squad or players that have played for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years. We are in this position because of gross incompetence and gross negligence from the owners and the hierarchy of this
Um,
football club.
can I say
And
something? We signed. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I don't know if that counts. Let's say five then. Okay. 6, 7, 8, 9. Is it, is it 9? Why has it not listed all of them? Like 10 players for him. No, maybe 16 players. I don't know. That's the last
but
one.
if you think to go back to when we were sitting talking about the squad 2 or 3 years ago, we were talking about needing to sell 30 players. So that doesn't include the players that have aged or that have added on that list over time. It's still not enough. But it comes down to the point, Harry, of no matter what you think about the manager or the current players or players for the last 20, 30 years, Emerson, Dyer, Janssen, whatever you want to think about all the
16 players.
players,
16 players. 16
whatever
players.
you want to think about all the players in the last 10, 20, 30 years, we are in this position now because gross incompetence and gross negligence from those that own and that run this football club
Yeah, 100%.
has finally caught up to them. And whatever people think about Ange and whatever people think about anyone else, if people take away anything from this episode, they need to understand this, that the manager's time might be up. And it might be up for certain players and some might be approaching retirement and this and that, and whatever it might be. But ultimately, we are in this position because those people at the top have absolutely no idea what it means to love this football club, what it means to play for this football club, what it means to support this football club, what this football club means as by name, by badge, by nature. They don't know what that means, and they don't know how to run a football club either. And if you know what it means, you get the right people in place to help you. And that solves that problem. I've never doubted and I've never once said or had a go at Levy or Joe Lewis or whatever for the infrastructure and the stability it's created. And I've always turned around and said that will lay foundations to protect us for as long as I exist, or as long as this football club exists. The fact of the matter is, where we are in the league now proves that can only get you so far. And your gross incompetence and not knowing what it means to wear this badge, to wear this shirt, to wear these colours, to support this club, to go to games, to get on at Seven Sisters or get off at Seven Sisters and get on the overground, or get off at Seven Sisters and walk down Tottenham High Road. They don't know what that means. And until people in charge of this football club know what that means and feels the same way we do, it's never, ever going to change. I'm going to leave that there for this week. And I'm going to leave that there for this week.
I already feel we're going to get relegated. Like, I really do.
We'll save that discussion for another week. Next week is Harry's birthday. Yeah. So we will wish him happy birthday next week, and I'm going to come up with some really terrible intro like he did for mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next week's Harry's birthday, so we'll talk about the Everton result. Cover Harry's birthday, cover the game next weekend.
That's the result? Or was it Everton result?
Yeah, that's what I meant. The Leicester result. We'll see your birthday, and then whoever we're playing next weekend. And then the episode after that will be a summary of the Europa League.
Let me just check we're playing next week again.
Yeah, I was just going to check that as well.
I think it must be an away game. Because we're playing on Thursday. We could
Brentford
talk about Europa
away
League if you want. Oh, no, that'll be a week after, won't it?
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. So we'll cover Brentford away, talk about Leicester, talk about Brentford away next week, and the following week after we'll cover that. Well, that will be just a purely Europa League episode. And then...
Brentford away.
And then the week after that, then we'll talk about the 2 cup games, and then we move on from there. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Yeah, drop us a sub. We gained 2 more subs over Christmas, which was awesome. Drop us a sub, drop us a 5-star review on Spotify, and we'll catch you next week. Come on, you Spurs.